I'm going to start.
This meeting is being recorded.
Let's start over, sorry. Okay, text 21 of chapter 17. Yatu pratyu pakarartam phalamodesya vapuma diate cha pariklistam tadanam rajasam shmitam. Synonyms: yat, that which, too, but pratyu pakara artam, for the sake of getting some return. Phalam, a result, udesya, desiring, va, or puna, again, diate is given, cha, also, pariklistam, grudgingly, tat, that, dhanam, charity, rajasam, in the mode of passion, smritam is understood to be. Translation: but charity performed with the expectation of some return, or with a desire for fruitive results, or in a grudging mood, is said to be charity in the mode of passion. Go ahead, Zoe.
Charity is sometimes performed for elevation to the heavenly kingdom, and sometimes it's great trouble and with repentance afterwards. Why have I spent so much in this way? Charity is also sometimes given under some obligation at the request of a superior. These kinds of charity are said to be given in the mode of passion. There are many charitable foundations which offer their gifts to institutions where sense gratification goes on. Such charities are not recommended in the Vedic scripture. Only charity in the mode of goodness is recommended.
Okay, Melissa, you can read the next paragraph. I'll read the Sanskrit and stuff. Text 22. Adesha kale yadanam uparet vyas chadiyate asatkritam avajnatam tamasam udaritam. Synonyms: adesha, at an unpurified place, kale, in an unpurified time, yet that which dhanam, charity, apatrebhya, to unworthy persons, cha, also, diate, is given, asatkritam, without respect, avajnatam, without proper attention, tat, that, tamasam, in the mode of darkness, udaritam is said to be. Translation: and charity performed at an impure place, at an improper time, to unworthy persons, or without proper attention and respect, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Go ahead, Melissa.
Contributions for indulgence in intoxication and gambling are not encouraged here. That sort of contribution is in the mode of ignorance. Such charity is not beneficial. Rather, sinful persons are encouraged. Similarly, if a person gives charity to a suitable person, but without respect and without attention, that sort of charity is also said to be in the mode of darkness.
Okay, Alan, you can read the first paragraph and I'll read the second one, okay? Text 23. Om Tat Sad Iti Nirdesho Brahmanas Tri Vedas Smrita Brahmanas Tena Vedas Shad Yagnas Cha Vihita Para. Synonyms: Om, indication of the supreme, Tat, that, Sat, eternal, Iti, thus, Nirdesha, indication, Brahmana, of the supreme, Triveda, threefold, Smrita is considered, Brahmana, the Brahmanas, Tena, with that, Veda, the Vedic literature, Cha, also, Yagna, sacrifice, Cha, also, Vihita, used, Pura, formally. Actually, Zoe, you can read the second paragraph. I don't want to read everything. I'll just read the translations and stuff. From the beginning of creation, the three words Om Tat Sat were used to indicate the supreme absolute truth. These three symbolic representations were used by Brahmanas while chanting the hymns of the Vedas and during sacrifices for the satisfaction of the supreme. Go ahead, Alan.
Oh, sorry, Alan.
It has been, excuse me, it has been explained that penance, sacrifice, charity, and foods are divided into three categories: the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. But whether first class, second class, or third class, they are all conditioned, contaminated by the material modes of nature. When they are aimed at the supreme Om Tat Sat, the supreme personality of Godhead, the eternal, they become means for spiritual elevations. In the scriptural injunctions, such as an objective is indicated, these three words, Om Tat Sat, particularly indicate the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead in the Vedic hymns. The word Om is always found.
Good. So
One who acts without following, one who acts without following the regulations of the scriptures will not attain the absolute truth. He will get some temporary result, but not the ultimate end of life. The conclusion is that the performance of charity, sacrifice, and penance must be done in the mode of goodness. Perform the mode of passion or ignorance, they are certainly inferior in quality. The three words Om Tat Sat are uttered in conjunction with the holy name of the Supreme Lord, Om Tat Vishnu. Whenever a Vedic hymn or the holy name of the Supreme Lord is uttered, Om is added. This is the indication of Vedic literature. These three words are taken from Vedic hymns. Om iti itad brahmano nadishtam nama, indicates the first goal. Then tat tavam asi chandogya Upanishad indicates the second goal. And Sad Eva Sumya, Chandogya Upanishad indicates the third goal. Combined, they become Om Tat Sat. Formerly, when Brahma, the first created living entity, performed sacrifices, he indicated by these three words the supreme personality of Godhead. Therefore, the same principle has always been followed by disciplic succession. So this hymn has great significance. Bhagavad-gītā recommends, therefore, that any work done should be done for Om Tat Sat, or for the supreme personality of Godhead. When one performs penance, charity, and sacrifice with these three words, he is acting in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is a scientific execution of transcendental activities which enable one to return home, back to Godhead. There is no loss of energy in acting in such a transcendental way.
yeah, the word Om is actually representative of the supreme personality of Godhead. Actually, all of the Vedas, originally all of the Bhagavatam, all of the Vedas, what came from the syllable Om. That is Krishna. Krishna says in the Gita before, in the opulence, the absolute of syllables, I am the syllable Om. Text 24. Tasmad Om iti udritya yajna dana tapakriya parvartate vidhanokta satatam brahmavadinam. Synonyms. Tasmat, therefore, Om, beginning with Om, iti, thus, udarita, indicating yajna of sacrifice, dana, charity, tapa, and penance, kriya, performances, pravartante, begin, vidana upta, according to scriptural regulations, satatam, always, brahma vadinam, vadinam, of the transcendentalists. Translation, therefore, transcendentalists undertaking performances, sacrifice, charity, and penance in accordance with scriptural regulations begin always with Om to attain the supreme. Go ahead, Melissa.
Therefore, transcendentalists undertaking performances of sacrifice, charity, and penance in accordance with scriptural regulations begin always with Om to attain the supreme. The lotus feet of Vishnu are the supreme devotional platform. The performance of everything on behalf of the supreme personality of Godhead assures the perfection of all activity.
Text 25. Iti taditi anabasandaya phalan yagna tapakriya dana kriyas shavividha kriyante moksha kankshibi. Synonyms. Tat, that, iti, thus, anabhisandaya, without desiring, phalam, the fruit of result, yaga, of sacrifice, tapa, and penance, kriya, activity, dana, of charity, kriya, activities, cha, also, vivida, various, kriyante, are done, moksha kankshibi, by those who actually desire liberation. Translation. Without desiring fruit of results, one should perform various kinds of sacrifice, penance, and charity with the word tat. The purpose of such transcendental activities is to get free from material entanglement. Go ahead, Alan.
To be elevated to the spiritual position, one should not act for any material gain. Acts should be performed for the ultimate gain of being transferred to the spiritual kingdom, back home, back to Godhead.
Yeah, see, that's why we perform sacrifice and charity, This is, if we do everything for Vishnu, everything Yagavai Vishnu, sacrifices meant for Vishnu, then all of our fruit of action is stopped. We no longer become entangled in the reactions of fruit of activity, because if we do anything for ourselves, try to, accumulate any kind of result for our own sense gratification or our own aggrandizement or whatever, then we're become entangled in the action and reaction of fruit of activity. But if we do everything for Krishna, just working for him, he'll take care of us. And plus, we don't have to worry about any kind of reaction anymore, because we become free from all kinds of karma. We become free of any kind of good reaction or bad reaction. We become, which is what is called akarma, free from all karma. And that way we don't have to come back to this material world again. We go back to spiritual world, because whatever you do, it has to come back to you. That's the duality of the material world. We perform an action. Say, if I do a favor for one of you guys, then, or if you do a favor for me, then I have to come back in my next life and repay you. So that's just, but the favor is like a material favor. But if you do a spiritual favor, it's all indemnified. You don't have to repay anyone. If actually it says that if you're a devotee of Krishna, you don't have any more obligation to your family members, to society, to the sages, to relatives, to your ancestors, to anybody. You don't have any obligation to anyone if you're a surrendered soul to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You're completely free of all obligations. So that's the reason we surrender and do sacrifice for Vishnu, because then we're free from not only our reactions to all our deeds, but we no longer have any obligations to anybody else but Krishna. It's a pretty good deal. Text 26 and 7. Sadbhave sadubhave cha sa iti etat prayujyate. Prashati karmani tata sat shabda parta yujyate. Yagne tapasi dane cha stiti saditi chochite. Karma chaiva tad artiyam saditi eva bidiyate. Synonyms. Satbhave, in the sense of the nature of the Supreme. Sadbhave, in the sense of the nature of the devotee. Cha, also. Sat, the word sat. Iti, thus. Etat, this. Prayujate, is used. Prasashte, in bona fide karmani activities. Tata, also. Sat, shabda, the sound. Sat. Partha, O son of Prita. Yujate is used. Yaja, in sacrifice. Tapasi, in penance. Dane, in charity. Cha, also. Stiti, the situation. Tat, the supreme. Iti, thus. Cha, and. Uchate is pronounced. Karma, work. Cha, also. Eva, certainly. Tat, for that. Artiyam, meant. Sat, the supreme. Iti, thus. Eva, certainly. Abhidiyate is indicated. Translation. The absolute truth is the objective of devotional sacrifice, and it is indicated by the word sat. The performer of such sacrifice is also called sat, as are all works of sacrifice, penance, and charity, which, true to the absolute nature, are performed to please the Supreme Person. O son of Prita. Okay, go ahead, Zoe.
The words Prashata karmani, or prescribed duties, indicate that there are many activities prescribed in the Vedic literature which are purificatory processes, beginning from the time of conception up to the end of one's life. Such purificatory processes are adopted for the ultimate liberation of the living entity. In all such activities, it is recommended that one vibrate Tat Sat. The words Sad Bhave and Sadhu Bhave indicate the transcendental situation. Acting in Krishna consciousness is called sattva, and one who is fully conscious of the activities of Krishna consciousness is called a sadhu. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that the transcendental subject matter becomes clear in the association of the devotees. The words used are satam, prajanyak, without good dissociation, one cannot achieve transcendental knowledge. When initiating a person or offering the sacred thread, one vibrates the warmth Om Tat Sat. Similarly, in all kinds of performance of yajna, the object is supreme, Om Tat Sat. The word Tad Aritam Aritam further means offering service to anything which represents the supreme, including such service as cooking and helping in the Lord's temple or any other kind of work for broadcasting the glories of the Lord. These supreme words, Om Tat Sat, are thus used in many ways to perfect all activities and make everything complete.
That's why they could sign up saying Om Tat Sat. Thanks a lot. Anyway, yeah, these are really serious words, though. The Om is the seed mantra. Tat is truth, and Sat, and it's eternal. Anyway, those three words are used in all kinds of Vedic sacrifices. Every single mantra that's used in a fire sacrifice begins with the word Om. Text 28. Ashradaya hutam datam tapastaptam kritam chayat asad iti uchyate parta nacha tat preti or pretya no iha. Synonyms: ashradaya, without faith, hutams, offered in sacrifice, datam, given, tapa, penance, taptam, executed, kritam, performed, cha, also, yat, that which, asat, false, iti, thus, uchite, is said to be parto, son of prita, na, never, cha, also, tat, that, pretya, after death, na'u, or iha, in this life. Translation: anything done as sacrifice, charity, or penance without faith in the Supremo, son of Prita, is impermanent. It is called asat and is useless both in this life and the next. Asat means like temporary or not truthful. Whose turn is it? I think it's your turn, Melissa. Read the first paragraph.
Okay. Anything done without the transcendental objective, whether it be sacrifice, charity, or penance, is useless. Therefore, in this verse, it is declared that such activities are abominable. Everything should be done for the Supreme in Krishna consciousness. Without such faith and without the proper guidance, there can never be any fruit. In all the Vedic scriptures, faith in the Supreme is advised. In the pursuit of all Vedic instructions, the ultimate goal is the understanding of Krishna. No one can obtain success without the following principle. Therefore, the best course of work from the very beginning in Krishna consciousness under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. That is the way to make everything successful.
Go ahead, Al.
In the conditional state, people are attracted to worshiping demigods, ghosts, or yakas like Kuvera. The mode of goodness is better than the modes of passion and ignorance, but one who takes directly to Krishna consciousness is transcendental to all three modes of nature. Although there is a process of gradual elevation, if one by the association of pure devotees takes directly to Krishna consciousness, that is the best way, and that is what recommended in this chapter. To achieve success in this way, one must first find the proper spiritual master and receive training under his direction. Then one can achieve faith in the Supreme. When that faith matures in course of time, it is called love of God. This love is the ultimate goal of the living entities. One should therefore take to Krishna consciousness directly. That is the message of this 17th chapter.
Okay, that's it. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, I had something to kind of share that reminds me of general what this is speaking of. I was getting some groceries before Christmas, and I was struggling, and one of the managers was helping me with, like, my Advantage card or whatever, and so I wasn't. Plus, like, I still can't fully, like, walk, like I sort of
Right.
can't. I'm still on crutches, so I'm just struggling in more ways than one with technology, of course. And then, and I wasn't even paying attention to the groceries needing to get bagged. I'm just, fixed on the computer and focused on trying to stand up as much as I can. Because when you actually have to think about doing those things, it consumes a lot of your focus.
Right.
And then there was a woman behind me, and I could tell she was like irritated. And I just kind of smiled, like, whatever you do, don't break anything. And then she said, by the way, you're welcome for me bagging all your groceries. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even, because I honestly didn't look. So I think that speaks that, she definitely didn't do it out of her own goodness. She just did it to kind of hurry me along, because obviously I'm disabled. And so to me, it was like, please don't
Yeah,
do
that's
any favors.
definitely
Yeah, it's
in
not,
the
it's
mode of
not doing
passion.
the
That's what
spirit.
Krishna
Yeah.
talks about, the mode charity in the mode of passion.
Mhm.
For one's
That would be a
own,
mode of passion, because
for
it was
one's
not, it
own.
was disingenuous.
Yeah, like thanks but no thanks.
Yeah, I get it. You're just trying to hurry me up along, because I can't obviously do all this very fast. I can't do anything quickly anymore. And you can
I
kind of
know.
see how
Yeah,
people around you, when you're disabled, get very annoyed with you.
it's embarrassing, but I would be more embarrassed if I were her.
Right.
Because that just shows how selfish people are, and
Yeah.
they don't care about other people. You
Mhm.
have to, like, one who is actually Krishna conscious sees everyone's happiness and distress as their own. That's a really good way to look at things. If you look at people and you think, like, put yourself in their shoes,
Mhm.
and then that's a golden rule.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
If the more deeper you get into Krishna consciousness, like if you keep thinking about certain food items like prasadam, do you really is like if you even have thoughts about that food, does that really, and you have cravings for it, does it make you kind of like wanting more of it, or like you're kind of going towards that route of prasadam now, like certain foods like that lasagna or certain items out at the um temple, like I don't know, I just guess I'm getting more deeper with it.
Well, prasadam is really special, and it is true that you can become attracted to. I remember there was one black devotee. He's a guru now. He's pretty famous in ISKCON. He lives in New Zealand now, but he was a Yale graduate. He was very intelligent, and he was driving across the Eastern Bloc during the 80s when like countries like Romania and that were still under communist rule. And he was listening to my spiritual master read his book, Eternal Love. It was he was personally reading. He had those cassette tapes, and he was listening to cassette tapes. Remember cassette tapes?
Yeah.
But anyway, he was listening to that, and he said, "Oh my God, this is very powerful. Something's going to happen to this guy." Like, because he could tell it was really powerful preaching. And usually in this world, when somebody's powerfully preaching, or somebody's like shaking things up, usually they get a backlash, like Jesus, for example.
Yeah.
And so many different saints and sages that have suffered prosecution. And of course that did happen, but he decided to come to New Vrindavan, and he my spiritual master, Kirtananda, he made him the temple president right away. But anyway, he had a father from Detroit. His father was from Detroit, and they came to the temple and they had prasadam. We got 10 minutes left, so we'll just try to wrap all the questions up in that time. I don't want to go to the next chapter because there's not enough time. This is the last chapter, is really important. So, but anyway, his father was at the New Vrindavan farm, and he had some cheesecake. All the prasadam back in the 80s, especially, I mean, it's still good, but it was really good back then because we had some expert cooks. And so he had some cheesecake, and he came back like a couple of years later just to get that cheesecake. I mean, he drove all the way from Detroit to New Vrindavan just so he could have another piece of cheesecake. So that's pretty extraordinary. I mean, unless you're like that's not just the food. Obviously, there's something else about that food that makes it special. So prasadam has that quality, you know, it's very, very powerful, and it connects you to Krishna. Therefore, you always want more of it. You're a bhakta, Alan. And so it says that bhaktas, that the new devotees should eat until they waddle. Okay. You could use to put on some pounds there, buddy. So, you know, eat as much prasadam as you possibly can. And if you have a craving for it, that's good. So, you know, that, I hope that answers your question. You know, of course, we do have to actually, you know, regulate our eating. But, you know, if we're eating Krishna prasadam, you know, especially in the beginning, we can eat as much as we want, you know, and, you know, it's different than ordinary food. Prasadam is really different. I remember in the early days, they had a farmhouse where the temple was, and in the back room, they had security guards because they've had some trouble. They had some trouble with some locals, you know, they take pot shots at them, and they had security. But anyway, sometimes the security guards would get a craving for prasadam, and they had like the Maha Prasadam cabinet, and they would like break into that cabinet, you know, they would like take the hinges off, or, you know, and so they reinforced it so you couldn't, like, they put a lock on it so they couldn't, like, but they managed to like squeeze their hand through the crack so that they could get something out, you know. And so then they put nails in the sides of the prasadam cabinet so that they would just scratch up their hands and bloody their hands in order to get the prasadam out, but they still would want to get the prasadam out, you know. And so that's the power of prasadam, you know. It's like if you open up a cabinet full of food, like a bunch of cans and dried like cereal or whatever, nobody gets really that excited. But you should see back in the early days when everything was really austere, they had such great prasadam for the deities, especially. That's called Mahaprasadam. It's really special prasadam. And so when you would open up a Maha cabinet, devotees would just go crazy because this is special food. If you taste it, you can tell it tastes like 100 times better than ordinary food. So that's why we offer all our food to Krishna, and that helps us control our tongue. So in the beginning, you can take as much prasadam as you want, but you know, but just make sure it's Krishna prasadam. The first time I ever cooked for myself, I cooked halava. The halava is like a you know, farina cereal. It's kind of like cream of wheat, but it's really thick, and it's just butter and sugar and maybe some fruit, maybe put pineapple. I think I made pineapple halava. It's really good, you know, but I made it and then I forgot to offer it because I'm an idiot. So, you know, you have to like remember that this is for Krishna and cook it with care and attention. And if you cook it in a loving way, Krishna will offer it. He says, you know, if somebody with love and devotion offers me a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or a little water, I'll accept it. And so that's just really wonderful that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he doesn't need anything, but he'll accept our offerings of love. And it doesn't matter how expensive it is, Krishna won't take it if it's offered if you don't offer it with love, then Krishna is not interested in it. It's only the love and devotion that Krishna, because he has everything. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's the richest person, so why would he need our meager offerings? But he takes the love for which we offer it, and then he reciprocates with that, and that is to our benefit. It's not that he needs anything. So that's the secret of prasadam. It's a secret weapon. They used to call the rasgullas or the sweet balls a gulabjamans. The gulabjaman is like a ball that's boiled. It's not like a donut, but it's boiled in sugar water. I don't know if anybody ever had one of those, but they're like, they're kind of like donuts, but they're soaked in this sugar water and they're brown on the outside. I'm not sure if they boil them with ghee first, but anyway, they're usually served in a big jar full of sugar water. And they used to call those ISKCON bullets, because, you know, you want to take those in your war against Maya. you would eat one of those ISKCON bullets to prepare yourself to go out and fight Maya, because battling with Maya is like, that's a full-time job, you know. She's right behind you, and then when you turn the corner around the block, she's all the way around the block as well, you know. So it's a constant battle. It's an uphill battle. So it's actually declaring war on the material energy. And so Prasadam is like a secret weapon, though. It's a really, really powerful thing. If you ever read Lord Chaitanya's Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya glorifies Prasadam. You know, if you get a little bit of real Prasadam, it's like, so you're so fortunate, because that is Krishna. It's non-different from Krishna. And that's amazing that Krishna invests himself in all these different things that are related to him. And you can tell that it is Prasadam. He's accepted it, and it becomes spiritualized, you know, like an iron in fire. If you put in your iron in fire, it becomes hot, and it becomes red hot, and then anything it touches, it turns to fire. So that's the way that anything in relation with Krishna, if you offer it to Krishna, then it becomes spiritualized. We got 3 minutes left. Anybody else have any other questions? I love questions about Prasadam, as you can tell from my portly proportions. But that was pretty good Prasadam the other night, wasn't it?
Excellent.
That
yeah,
lasagna was
definitely.
good. Is that the lasagna we're talking about, Alan? Or
Yeah, that was I liked it.
yeah, she's a good cook. That was Kurma's recipe. Kurma's the chef of ISKCON, and he is not a vegan. I'll tell you that much right now. In fact, I think he's actually a demon. He wants to kill all the devotees because he has so much dairy and ghee. You know what ghee is, right? It's like clarified butter.
The butter.
Yeah, it's butter, but it's clarified butter. All the impurities are burned off. So he has this one recipe called celestial bananas. It's made with ghee and sugar and bananas, and it's like, it'll kill you. I mean, so sometimes, you know, everything that he cooks is so good, but, you know, you can only have it like once a year, you know. Otherwise, you know, I start to wonder about that guy.
I just wanted to say that Jennifer is amazing, and if she was cooking for me, you know, like she cooks for you, I would gain a bunch of weight too.
Yeah. It's like, well, you know, I obviously it's been good for me, you know. I used to sing a song like, you know, when I first met her, you know that song Jenny on the Block by Jennifer Lopez. You know,
Yeah,
sing
don't
songs,
be
so,
fooled by the
yeah,
rocks that I got.
exactly, you know. And so I would say, you know, first the cupboards were bare. Let's see, Jenny's in the house. I would say, you know, like made up a song about Jennifer, and Jenny's in the house. Once the cupboards were bare, now the food is there. Now my pants I cannot wear.
Huh.
So it's been good for me. I'd never had anything in the refrigerator. I would go out on the weekends and work, you know, and I would have like mustard and water in the refrigerator, but now the food is definitely there. We have so much food in this house. It's just, I feel guilty. Anyway, thank you for joining us, everybody. And hopefully we'll be able to have another session. I think next week, my friend who bought a boatload of books, he's out in working the Ohio River now. He's actually a boatman, but he is going to join us. His name, you know, I forgot his name because I've only seen him once, but anyway, he'll be joining us